Hello there, Starscream back for another Transformer review. And yes, before you say anything, I've had my hair cut and I'm a lot happier with it. And now that's out the way, shall we continue with the Transformer review? Because I think that's a good idea, don't you? Right? Yeah? No? Okay. Why am I talking to myself here? Okay, this is one of those reviews where I try and make amends to one I've previously done on a crappy camera. So hopefully we can do it justice this time. And this character deserves justice, alright? And if he didn't get it, you'd know about it. And it's Generation 1 Shockwave. Now, in recent times, he's been called Shock Blast, and I think they got the name Shockwave back again, Hasbro. Because Hasbro is stupid. They lose the names, you know? You ever picked up a name, and you've used it for years, and you go, that's a good name. You was trying to think of one off the top of my head. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but let's just go with Wheeljack for argument's sake. So there's a name like Wheeljack. It's a really good name. You know what we do? We won't use it for a long time, we won't copyright it, and we'll just leave it out. Oh, somebody else has taken it. Big surprise. I'm trying to think who's dumber, Hasbro or Michael Bay. Well, they've both got more money than I have, so the joke's on me, I guess. Alright, Generation 1 Shockwave is a really odd Transformer. The reason being, he's not like any of the others. He functions Shockwave like you'd expect a robot to do. He computes things and he works on logic. So when things are going wrong for the Decepticons, let me racing ahead of myself here. Let's just talk about the cartoon continuity of him. Try saying that 5 times fast. No? Good, because you can't do it, can you? So there, and neither can I. So, introduced in the Array original episode in his transforming gun mode. What the hell is he doing in gun mode? He's a huge gun, the size of a Transformer, as if it would transform directly into said gun, still with that physical size, just pointing, looking up into space, doing God knows what, just sort of like going, what are you doing, Shockwave? I don't know, I'm just in gun mode, looking out the window. So that's how he's introduced, and he transforms, and immediately it's implied that he is very loyal to Megatron, and he's a very illogical, robot. I was going to go for something else, a little bit more intelligent sounding then, but it didn't happen. So poor old Shockwave here, when the Autobots and the Decepticons go to Earth, he's left behind. I don't know what he did. I'm only assuming it's because Megatron trusts him more than he trusts anybody else. But he just leaves Shockwave alone with a lot of drones that control. You get them seen and destroyed in Revenge of the Bruticus. They just sort of like mindless slaves. And in the Key to Vector Sigma, to a lesser extent. And also there's a contingency of, we later find out in Season 2, female Autobots. So he's left Shockwave all on his own to deal with all that. And to keep control of Cybertron. I mean, that's a pretty big deal for any one Transformer to do. But Shockwave apparently is the man, or the bot I should say, to cope with it. So there he is, you know, ambling along Cybertron. He occasionally gets a report from Megatron. You know, he's sitting, he doesn't got a lot to do now, has he? As the Dr. Smooth parody's been pointed across, it's just Shockwave. He's got nobody to talk to, so he starts talking to the drones. It's hilarious. He's got nothing else to do. He's like, oh, Megatron, I don't know, who's anybody to talk to? None along those lines. I can't do his voice. But you get what I'm saying. It's boring up there. So there he goes. He sits up there. Occasionally they come and see him, you know, when the Autobots break in. And he as apparently shown in the Dr. Smooth episode, he can't shoot for shit, because every time he shoots, he misses. So, typical Decepticon fashion. No problems there. So he gets through Season 1 and Season 2. He doesn't really do a great deal, but his character is established as very logical, and he tries to help Starscream, gets double-crossed, and he tells Megatron, blah, 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 blah. And then we come to the movie. And he's seen in one shot going, Decepticons scramble! And the Decepticons scramble, I guess, not into eggs, by the way. They scramble to defend themselves against Unicron. And apparently there is or may not have been a scene where Unicron crushes him. Or you see the building falling down on top of him. And that's the last we see him in the cartoon. What a shame, eh? Did you see that coming? Was that a logical end for you? What does that mean? Obviously it's a logical form of dialect which I can't understand because I am not logical. So, cartoon show Shockwave, done and dusted. I'm only focusing on the G1 here, so if you say, no, there's a lot more Shockwaves and Shock... I know, I've got them all, they're over there, so forget it, alright? I'm not focusing on them, it's just the G1, okay? So, that's all done and dusted now. Let's talk about the cartoon. The cartoon, good God! Okay, comic book run Shockwave. Now, this is completely different. Okay, so there was 2 ships, apparently, shadowing the Ark, alright? One of them was controlled by Megatron and the Decepticons, the other one was with Shockwave. And he saw what happened to the Decepticons, so he kept back, he didn't engage them in battle, so obviously he sees the Autobots and the Decepticons crash on Earth. Fine. Done deal. So he follows them down, and in doing so he arrives on a very primitive Earth, as we see like 4 million years in the past or something. So dinosaurs are roaming. Now this is going to get quite interesting. So Shockwave doesn't need an alt mode. He hasn't crashed, so he stays as his, whatever the mode he is. Should we call it dumbass gun mode? We'll call it dumbass gun mode because I can't think of anything else to call it. So he arrives down on Earth, and now, can you guess what's going to happen when he gets there? Can you guess? No, seriously, can you guess? Because I haven't got a clue. I'll go on. I'll tell you then. Because Shockwave arrives as a Decepticon, the Ark automatically activates 5 Autobots, okay? 5, not 4, but 5. That's significant because the movie ignores that, sort of. And in the UK, that's ignored too, but I'll get to that in a second. And because they have to scan for alt modes for them, what do? Dinobots. So yes, Wheeljack wasn't a moron who created retarded Dinobots. The Ark did instead. So it took 4 unfortunate Transformers and disguised them as robotic dinosaurs, which kind of stands to reason and makes a hell of a lot more sense than Wheeljack trying to disguise 5 giant robots into 5 giant metal dinosaurs. Disguise? No? Oh, forget it, but never mind. So that's what happens, and he fights them, and he manages to bury them, and in the process he gets buried, and he's buried for 4 million years, and then we get back to later on in the comic run, he takes over command of the Decepticons from time to time. He comes to a dilemma where he realises that he's seen his own death. This is through Time Wars, and 2006 or 10 or whatever the hell that one's called. You know, one of Ultramagnus and Galvatron, they're time travelling, you know that one. Okay, I can't remember the exact number, but you know the one I mean. So that one, and later on, Scourge comes back to his son and needs Cyclonus' body because his head's been pulled off by Megatron. Because it's upsetting the timeline, and Shockwave will go, if I let you have it, then I know I'm going to die. I'm destined to die. Galvatron's destined to kill me. He gets a complete conundrum. It's not logical. The only logical alternative I've got is to just kill myself so I can't be killed. Does that make any sense to you? Well, there we go. It's an interesting run. Most Transformer fans like Shockwave, especially Generation 1. And he was originally a Toy Shack toy. Why does that not sound right? Toy Shack. Tandy. We got a Tandy in this country, now it's Maplin's. We don't have... Oh, forget it. Alright, let's look at the toy, because that's really what you're here for, isn't it? Not listening to me prattle on about nothing all day long. Generation 1 Shockwave, as you can tell, is completely out of proportion to everybody else. He's huge, and I just pointed out why. He's far, far too big. Oh, on a different note thing, while I said 4 out of 5, it's because in the UK, we didn't get Swoop, okay? So we would have just had 4 dinosaurs, not 5. And in the Transformers movie, not the States, yeah, we got the same bloody film, we just got a different narration. And in the States, yes, and the Transformer G1 movie, we don't actually see Snarl that much because apparently he had some sort of degenerative disease that only Starscream had the cure for, and that's in one of the black and white graphic novels which we had in the UK. So it's in a UK book, not an American book, so you won't actually understand it. And even if you do read it, it doesn't make that much sense, so forget it. So let's back to Shockwave. What can I say about him? He's pretty limited in articulation. He can move his legs, okay, like that. So you can do a sort of a stance there, you know, to jog. That wasn't that great, was it? And he can move his head. I didn't know that, actually, so I'm going to cheer for that. Everybody cheer for me. Please cheer. Are you cheering? Come on. Cheer. Cheer. You're cheering. Can't hear you. That's rubbish. Anyway, I've just found out his head rotates. My God, I never knew that. And I'm not just doing that for laughs or piss-taking of my own self, or so you can quote at the bottom saying what an idiot I am. Genuinely, I swear, I did not know his head could rotate from left to right. And I've just discovered that. So, good. He has 2 transparent hands, one being a gun arm. Now, if you'd seen my original Shockwave review, you'll realise that I didn't have said gun arm. This was snapped off here. I have recently got one at Auto Assembly, and I am so pleased about it. And I had to rewire it back through here, but it was worth it. It was worth it. I've had to rewire it, but it doesn't light up anymore, so I can only assume the bulb has gone. Although I think he has his sounds. Let's try that again. What am I doing? I look like a chicken. I thought I could do a rap with that, but I can't. I can't rap. I'm a white man. I can't rap. So there we go. He doesn't work, obviously. And yes, he is a great toy. I really like him. He's got a lot of presence. The quality's not bad. This is metal here. He's not essentially a die-cast toy, although this part is some form of cheap metal with a spring in it, which is kind of bizarre. Now, mine is missing the battery pack, like most of them are, see? RC. That's another transform. That's not a review that I'm doing, but yeah, no, forget it. And he has this pop-up little targeting thing here, see? That's quite nice. Mine's still got it. Quite a few of these I've seen, they're broken off. A common tendency with shockwaves is these ears. I call them ears, they're obviously not ears, but whatever they are, they always go floppy. I told you that happens when you get older, but I don't really want to go down that route. But yeah, his ears are floppy, and it's not good. The problem I see with him, purely, and I really like Shockwave, character and toy, so don't get me wrong, is his arms are locked. Okay, so the shoulder joint here, okay, so, can't move it. Okay, it looks like I'm doing Michael Jackson. No, it's not. I'm not doing a Michael Jackson thing. It can't move, so it's locked. That's locked solid. So we only have the pivot of the elbow movement here, which is a shame because I would like to see him. Now I've just realised his head can actually move. If we turn head to the side here, and the arm, he's got a lot of movement here, which is great. So actually, you know what? We can still get that pose. Hey, now that's the pose I was after. Okay, forget what I said. Forget that he can't move his arm up and down. The joint here more than makes up for it. So look at that. Now that is a pose to be proud of. So there, Shockwave is the toy and the gift that just keeps on giving. I've realised that his head does move and he can pose in a very, very good position. And I must say that I always have him separated from the main display because I like him that much. I used to have him in gun mode, but he kept falling off the shelf because of his front heavy. Now, let's get back to the one last part of Shockwave, which is the turret head. Now, this isn't Shockwave's. This isn't the gun mount for Shockwave. This is of the Radio Shack original, which is up there, which I have done a review, and I just called him Grey Gun because he's a grey alternative to him. So, yes, I got them all. And it just essentially attaches to the end, which is nice. And when it used to light up, the gun arm that is, it used to shine through like a laser, which is superb. But he couldn't hold it, you see, because he had no hand hold, if you can see. So there's no hole for him to hold it. And there was no handle to hold said, well, gun end, should we call it. But because it was the Radio Shack, it has a handle. And the Radio Shack alternative has said hold in hand. So it can hold it. So that's something that Hasbro should have taken into consideration and done. Far too often with the original toys, you take the accessories off and they get lost because they can't hold them. But with the original, or I should say the Radio Shack alternative, it could. I wonder if the head moves on that one. It's something I have to look into. But not now, not now. We'll do that another time, okay? So, Generation Shockwave is a great toy. It more than makes up for that piece of crap I had to review last time. What should we call him? Double shit is the name that I'll call him from now on, because he's double the shit of a usual Transformer. He is an abomination, and I hope never to see him again. I pushed him to the corner of my room and he's under a box, and that's more than he deserves. I could have melted him like Rodimus Prime, but I didn't because I was in a good mood at the time. But I could have, and who's to say I won't in the future? Bear that in mind. Alright, just a little look at Shockwave here. What a great guy. So that's me, that's Starscream saying, take care guys, and see you lot out there. I'm still here. Alright, what should we talk about now? Have a drink on me then, alright?